For what you've done and to talk about some of the highlights of your career.
It's a good one.
Cliff decided to pursue a career in broadcasting after taking a film course at Shanley High School. The course gave him his first exposure to telling stories. At the time, students were given Super 8 film cameras to shoot productions. The class inspired him to pursue a job in journalism. After graduation, he enrolled at Brown Institute of Broadcasting in Minneapolis. The technical college placed 98% of its graduates at radio and TV stations across the country. He graduated in 1977 and started work at the second smallest television station in America, KXGN TV in Glendive, Montana.
Another NBA action tonight at halftime. Phoenix leads Philadelphia 60-41.
Just a few months after turning 20 years old, Cliff made his on-air debut.
Light snowfall is still occurring in parts of the lower Great Lakes regions, and that extends up into southern New England.
The next year, in August, Cliff was hired by KUMB TV in Williston.
Firefighters this afternoon contained a blaze at an oil storage tank field north of Shelby.
KUMB had a brand new TK76 field camera, one of the first news cameras sold. It had to be connected by a thick cable to a 3/4-inch videotape recording deck. The weight of an entire set of gear approached 75 pounds, and the price tag for a fully equipped TK76 came to more than $100,000. It was a different time for technology, but it was the right time to fall in love. In 1981, while Cliff was reporting in Williston, he met the new reporter, Monica Hannon. Their adventures covering news in Williston would start them off on a long path to continue their careers in journalism, grow their family, and mentor many upcoming reporters. And 4 years later, after developing his photography and storytelling skills, Cliff moved to Twin Falls, Idaho, as the chief photographer at KMVT TV.
Good evening, I'm Cliff Naylor.
And I'm Pamela Mathis. We welcome Cliff to the Sunday edition of News Scene.
He returned to North Dakota in 1988 as a general assignment news photographer at KFYR TV. He was often paired with farm director Al Gustin to shoot agriculture stories, seeing many parts of the state for the first time.
Almost everyone who's ever tasted a Whirl Whip says it runs circles around modern smoothies.
That is how the Off the Beaten Path series began.
Reporter Cliff Naylor takes us off the beaten path to show us the latest addition to a growing tourist attraction.
At first, he says he was hesitant to commit to a weekly project featuring stories on unique and interesting people and places. He didn't even think there would be enough material to keep the series going for more than a year. But oh, how wrong he turned out to be. Cliff produced an Off the Beaten Path story every week for more than 25 years. As the Off the Beaten Path television series gained traction, the state tourism department contacted Cliff to write a book about his travels so people could use it as a travel guide and visit the same sites in the stories. The first Dakota Day Trips book was printed in 1999, followed by a sequel, and his third book was released in 2022. Today, more than 25,000 copies of the books have been sold. And although Cliff has covered 5 presidential visits over the course of his career, he's been on assignment in Rome to meet the Pope and in Guatemala for the God's Child Project. He calls those off-the-beaten-path stories done right in our own backyard the highlight of his television career.
Oh, great job. By Hope, of course.
Hope did an awesome job.
Master storyteller, but
Yes.
hard to cram a career like yours into 4 minutes.
She did a great job.
It's fun to see your reaction to that story. That's a great shot. I like that. It's you just the constant critiquer, yes.
Monica will say, well, why can't you remember what I told you yesterday? You can remember a shot you took 40 years ago.
Looking back on that story, does it feel like it's been 40 years?
Yeah, because of all the equipment. You know, as Hope said in that story, it was 75 pounds, and you carried it by yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you were out there shooting stories, and it was heavy. In the wintertime, going up and down stairs, and that was back before you had handicapped accessible doors where you could just push a button and the door would open for you. You had to try to figure out how to get the door open, and you
And get in with all that gear, and now we're shooting news
Yeah.
stories on these things.
Yeah.
Amazing. What an amazing
phenomenal.
career. Well, we have lots more to ask you, Cliff, so stay with us. Cliff and Monica will be back to talk about some of their favorite memories up next.
You're watching.
Welcome back to a special edition of First News at 4. We are celebrating Cliff's retirement today. In our attempt to research your storied television career, we noticed a pattern, Cliff. You have met a lot of famous people.
I have.
Yeah.
Amazingly.
Off the top of your head, some of the famous people you've had the chance to meet through this job.
Clint Eastwood, John Paul II, Tip O'Neill, Julius Erving, Peggy Fleming, Jane Seymour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite or a favorite story about one of them that stands out?
Well, the first one was when I met Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
And
that's this picture
that's
here.
picture. And he's showing me the backside of his putter, and I was trying to get a picture or have a friend take a picture of him and me because I was afraid to go up and ask him for a picture because, you know, his television and his movie persona is pretty
tough guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it irritated him that this photographer kept taking pictures while he was trying to putt. So he came up to me with his putter and he pretended like he was going to use it as a baseball bat.
Oh. On you.
On me, yes.
Oh, no.
And then he just flipped the putter around and showed it to me, and it had inscribed on the putter, Dirty Harry. And then he said to me, doesn't help me a bit.
Oh my gosh, that is
I was
fantastic.
sweating. I was sweating. I thought, I can't run away. He's just gonna wrap that around my neck.
Oh my gosh, I love that. You've never forgotten it. Something else that your career brought you is your family.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You met Monica through work here with our stations. We hear that the story of how you met is a good one. Monica, you want to share that?
Well, okay. When we first met, he walks around with this intimidating look on his face much of the time, and it was worse when he had dark hair because those eyebrows, it was kind of scary. And so I didn't talk to him the first time I was out there and when I interned, and then when I came back and they hired me, he had to teach me how to shoot.
This was at KUMB?
This was KUMB in Williston. Yes, that was my first job in North Dakota. He had to teach me how to shoot, and I was not properly dressed. It was 30 degrees below zero, and he kept saying, "You are not properly dressed." And it was really cold. And so finally he said, "You know what, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back to my apartment. I have to let my dog out, and you can warm up a little bit." So we get back there, and I saw how sweet he was with that dog, and I just thought, he cannot possibly be a jerk.
Yeah. And look at you now.
Yeah, and anyway,
those are fantastic pictures.
Yeah. So anyway, the next day I got to the station, there were 3 pairs of gloves sitting on my desk. From Cliff. How could you not like a guy who does that?
Oh, I love it. Nice job, Cliff.
Yeah,
Gloves are
so
the key
I
to
agreed
a
to go
woman's
out
heart.
with him at that point, and he was a great dad too. I mean, he still is a great dad.
Yeah, you have 3 grown children.
Yes.
We're lucky enough to work with 2 of them here. How long have you guys been married?
We'll be 40 years in January.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing. What a great love story. I love it. Okay, we got a lot more partying to do. Cliff, you've done a lot of things in your life, right? We're going to talk about a few more, including maybe a little dabbling in the weather when we come back.
Okay.
Papa Murphy's, we built.
Well, have things changed
More
over
Cliff
the
Naylor
years?
memories.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, this is
Familiar
so
faces.
fun. Look at these familiar faces.
There's the forecast center. That was.
That was 2 sets ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on the infamous bus,
Yeah.
all around the
Yes.
Bismarck
All the
Mandan
weather
area.
people on the bus.
Love it.
Yeah.
So you have done weather for quite a long time.
Well, I wouldn't say that,
right?
but I've done it
Like, at least-
sporadically.
yeah, sporadically. But
Yeah.
you Country Morning Today.
Yes.
And that was your thing for a long time, really. But tell us about when you first started doing weather, might have been about the time that I started here too, how technology has changed. One thing in particular, Cliff, is you had to come in and make sure that the dial-up
Yes.
was working
You
correctly.
dial into the internet, and you could hear it dialing.
Sure. Yep,
And
I can hear it in
And
my
then
head.
you had to stand there to make sure it connected. And then once it connected, you went and did something else because it took about 20 minutes to
Right.
load.
Wow.
And if
Yeah.
it failed, it's like, well, you got to come back in and dial in again.
Yeah.
Kids don't.
No.
Can't relate to that today.
And even the clickers, right? Back in the day, we had a long cord.
Yes,
So you,
yeah, you had a lot. It was connected by a cord. It wasn't wireless. Yeah.
And you did weather your first job,
Yes.
right, in Glendive? And I think there's a fun story about current temperatures or something.
So when I got there, I would call the local radio stations in the area that didn't have temperatures published by the National Weather Service, just so I could get their temperatures. And so I'd make 6 or 8 long-distance phone calls.
Remember that?
long distance. What's
Long
that,
distance.
right?
You used to have to pay if
Yeah.
it was outside the city. So
Right.
you're calling outside of Glendive, and you pay to make that phone call. So after the first month, the general manager came into me, and he put this long telephone bill on my desk, and he said,
Somebody's in trouble.
"What are all these charges for?" And I said, "Well, I'm making phone calls every day to the local radio stations to get the current temperatures for the state, the cities in our region." And he looked at me, and he looked at the bill, and he said, "Make them up." So I started making up the temperatures.
Oh, that is funny.
Maybe the first fake news. And not a month after this started, I got a postcard from a woman, I think it was in Weibo, and she said, "You haven't gotten our temperature right for a month." And I thought,
I don't
Funny
think I ever
story
knew
about
that story, Cliff.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, you don't make up the weather, right, Kevin?
I don't know. Maybe I should today, but
Let's
we'll
talk
keep
this-
it brief,
okay.
guys.
all right.
Cliff, really, you should be doing this. But our current temps here for this Friday afternoon. A great day for Cliff Naylor Day, that's for sure. Temperatures here are in the 50s, even low 60s. But tomorrow, a little bit of a different story here. Our temps will be comparable, but we're going to see the wind increasing. Maybe not as strong as earlier anticipated, which is a good thing here. But for tomorrow, late morning into the early afternoon, we are going to have winds around 35, upwards of 40 miles per hour. But again, the key here, despite the fact we're having northerly winds, northwesterly winds, it's not going to be really cold. We're not pulling in some really cold air, so only around 60 miles per hour, but the winds will be around 20 to 40 miles per hour. So definitely going to be a bit on the windy side into the afternoon. As far as how things look in the morning versus the afternoon here, again, mid to upper 30s to start our Saturday off, and again, that northerly wind into the afternoon. But notice these temperatures, upper 50s here for really many cities throughout the entire first warm viewing area. Bowman near 60 degrees. Windy conditions again, mainly mid-morning into the early evening time frame. Much, much more coming up right after this.
Herman's Furniture.
We kind of consider ourselves a family here, I think,
Yes.
right, you guys? And over the years, the KFYR family has extended all across the country. We're a small market, right? So it's a starter market for so many people. It's no surprise to you at home that many journalists get their start here before going on to chase their dreams. Cliff has played a huge role in setting them off on that path. So we asked a few of them to send back a message for him today. Cliff, let's take a look back at some of those faces that we don't get to see every day anymore.
Happy retirement, Cliff. I am so excited for you, my friend. You are a staple in North Dakota television. You will be for years to come. This is a really exciting time. It's a long time coming, and I have a little anecdote that I think perfectly describes not only my experience with you, but the experience of so many other reporters. Now I'm going to show you this. We all know that you love a good road sign, so that's what I have for you, and it says, "Welcome to Waco." Why? Because I remember my first month as an anchor at Country Morning Today. You made me feel better after, instead of saying Butte on air, I said but. Fortunately, you were here with a great story of your own, saying how you accidentally said Waco instead of Waco years ago when you were a reporter. And so that's what you do. You build people's confidence and you push them to be the best that they can be at their craft. No one can ask for any more. I am so excited for you. I am so excited for you to be in Idaho with Dodger. Good luck, Cliff.
Hey there, producer Heather here. What to say about Cliff? It's really difficult to put into words what someone like Cliff Naylor means to you.
Feels like just yesterday you and I were driving to the middle of nowhere late at night so that you could help me shoot a stand-up that you knew would be great for my reel to help me get my next job. I've never forgotten that. It's because of the friends that I made there and the teachers that I had, and you were both of those things to me, Cliff.
You also gave me the best suggestions when visiting the State Fair, am I not?
The first time I met you, I actually heard you first because Cliff, your voice has an incredible power of self-amplification.
Hired him, he had good credentials, he was a North Dakotan, and so I thought we might be able to keep this person 4 or 5 years, and lo and behold, here we are.
He came to work in my department as a photographer, and he didn't need any training. I mean,
He would always get on the ground. I don't know if he still does this, but he would always get on the ground just to get the shot. He would do anything to get the shot.
The thing about Cliff is that he has such a sense of wonder. And so these things he would see these things or hear about these things and he'd say, wow, wow. And then he'd go and he'd do this story and he'd come back and say, Al, you wouldn't believe what I just saw.
Cliff was a jack of all trades, and he was stupendously good at all of those things.
But Cliff had a good eye for images. He had a good eye for telling stories. He could edit really well.
I think Cliff has changed a lot of lives, and Cliff has helped so many of us across the country.
For me, the most amazing thing is just what a good guy Cliff is, but more specifically, what a great dad he is. And for all of the viewers that have watched Cliff on the air all these years, you might not have realized that because you haven't spent time with Cliff and his family at his house. Cliff taught me a lot of lessons about parenting.
And I just want to say one more thing, that you give really great hugs, like dad-like hugs, right? And sometimes when we're there and we're away from our family, we could really use Cliff dad-like hugs. Congratulations again.
Okay, well, I'm kind of turning into a puddle. I don't know how you're holding it together. That was great.
I haven't seen some of those people for a long time.
They have really good memories of you.
I still remember them all. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Such a mentor, Cliff. And I do want to say, too, that, you know, what your work and these big markets, they've got a team of producers. You are your own team. You've done everything, the nat sound, the video, the editing. You are a one-man band, and your forte was everything you've ever done. It's amazing what you've done and the people that you've taught. And look where they are now, because of you, one person.
I wouldn't say because of me.
I would say that's a big part of it.
Maybe so, but your mentorship has meant a lot to everybody. To everybody. It's
Definitely.
Well, I've enjoyed teaching.
Yeah, well, you're very good at it.
You
Okay.
taught me.
I taught her too.
Yes. Okay, well, we're going to have a Cliff hug and get ourselves together. But stick around because we have one more big thing coming up, Cliff. It's going to get wild in here. So dry your tears. We'll be right back.
All right.
Double check that.
Okay, well, it's not very often we get this many people in the studio.
It's a small
so
studio.
you know it's a big day when the news director and the GM are here. I will turn it over to you guys. You got something special in your hands there,
I do, Jody. Cliff, I don't know if you caught wind of this yet. Very deserving. Today, the city of Bismarck, the mayor has signed this with the entire board signing off on. It is Cliff Naylor Day. There's a proclamation, April 28th, in the city of Bismarck is Cliff Naylor Day.
I used to work
very
with Mike.
deserving. Yeah. So Mayor Mike Schmitz has it signed. You get this.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to say to our viewers that you see Cliff as a journalist and you see his great storytelling, but a lot of times you don't see just how wonderful a person he is. He's a mentor. He's kind. He's giving. We will miss him tremendously, and it'll be impossible to replace him.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cliff.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
I want to hand it off to JR.
Cliff, we've told stories all day, and we're going to tell some more stories here tonight. We're going to have a big celebration for Cliff tonight, and we're all looking forward to that. That last video, that kind of brought some tears to my eye. Cliff has been there for me since day one. We used to anchor Country Morning Today together as well. And when the light came on, it was instant energy, and it just moved everybody. You were the catalyst, and you are going to be missed, and we're going to stay in touch for sure.
Thank you.
I'm going to be calling you quite often. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I told Barry, I told JR, I told everybody this morning, you know, they say that if you love your job, you never work a day in your life, and I feel like that applies to me. Sorry.
We have just a few more people that wanted to come and join the party. You guys come on in. Some really special people. Look at your daughters are here, Megan and Hannah, who we're lucky enough to get to work with, and the whole newsroom. Cliff calls you guys the kids. Keep going, you got a crowd in here. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Look at that, full studio. Nobody ever comes in here for us.
This is great.
Yeah, this is great. You guys gotta come back every day. Yes. So we are gonna keep celebrating here Cliff Naylor Day. Cliff, thank you for all your hard work and your years and your dedication, and thank you for not changing your cell phone number so we can all still track you down when we're not quite sure what kind of video we need for a story. We are grateful to everything that you have done
Thank
and
you.
have made us better at our jobs.
And thank you and Heather for doing this show.
Yes.
That's
Well, we
very
wish
nice.
you a very wonderful, well-deserved retirement.
Thank you.
Hear, hear. And thank you all at home for watching and helping us celebrate Cliff Naylor Day. We'll see you probably not this full of a studio. We'll be back at 5 o'clock.